Hey guys, today we have a really special guest here joining me in Vietnam, Dom Einhorn. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Today we're going to talk about a really interesting topic that we haven't really touched on yet, which is doing business in Vietnam. Before we get into what you do specifically, why have you chosen Vietnam?
I haven't really chosen Vietnam. It chose me. I'm married to a Vietnamese woman, born in
Right.
Vietnam.
That's I've heard the story before. Yeah.
And along with that came good and bad baggage. And I'm here today, and I'm glad to be here.
It's never all good. I mean, that's life, right? Like, that happened. So then Vietnam entered the picture.
Yes.
And then now you are here, or you've been here.
Yeah, I've been here many times.
Yeah.
I'd say I'm here now much more involved than before.
Yeah.
Prior to that, my first trips were primarily as a tourist who had never been here,
Yeah.
who was shocked by the difficulty of the language, I would say. I
Yeah.
do speak 6 languages, but hearing Vietnamese, I couldn't connect any dots
Different end of the
whatsoever.
spectrum. I'm guessing like
Complete-
European languages that you speak? Or-
Yes,
Yeah.
primarily. I'd like to learn it.
Yeah.
I think it would completely reformat my brain if I can eventually do so. I know
heard-
you. I know,
heard it's
I know
healthy.
you've done really well with that.
We do have a Vietnamese school. Right? Yeah. Shameless plug right now. Survival Vietnamese. Yeah, that's amazing that I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty spiritual. I believe in like, everything happens for a reason, and like, somehow you've connected with Vietnam. But then also like there had to be some kind of decision making process like, okay, Vietnam is a place where I want to do this work that I'm doing. Was there some reason that Vietnam became like the ideal place for that?
Yeah, so as you know, I'm half French, half German, so I'm half emotion, half logic. So the logic part kicked in where I did my research,
Yeah.
and I discovered a country that is young,
Yes.
very young,
Yeah.
very entrepreneurial,
Mm-hmm.
and lo and behold, has a lot of very skilled people
Right.
in very specific domains, including the ones in which we as a company need the most help: web development, mobile development, blockchain development, etc.
Yeah.
And a very thriving creator economy,
Mm-hmm.
which I think you get an idea of when you visit the local cafes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm trying that myself right now. So yeah, I know
working.
what you're talking
It's
about.
working.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to ask about like just for people that are listening right now, working with Vietnamese teams. Has there been anything that you've gotten from that? Have you learned anything so far from working with Vietnamese teams?
I think the biggest takeaway is that they think and work much differently than any team I've ever worked with. So I've worked with a lot of teams in Latin America, in the Ukraine, in other parts of Europe. The mentality is dramatically different, I'd say, for good and bad. We cover some of the great stuff. I would say they're very proactive, extremely hardworking, extremely loyal, extremely focused.
Yeah.
But then there's also a somewhat of a cultural disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, disconnect because my culture is not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I would probably be connected.
Right.
But once you actually realize that there's a disconnect, and you put the finger on it, and you have a discussion with those teams,
Yeah.
they're extremely eager to learn and to
yeah,
overcome those obstacles.
Right.
That's been somewhat challenging initially. I've now worked with my core team, which is based in Hanoi, for a little over 2 years.
Yeah.
Initially was rough navigating, primarily because of the cultural differences of the communication issues. And at one point in time, I just had it and said, look, we need to put the cards on the table. And it was the biggest aha moment ever. If I had to do it again, I would do it a year earlier.
Right. Yeah.
Because they were so open to my constructive
Yeah.
criticism.
You just had to get over that kind of like,
It was like, for me,
just bring it up.
it was like a culture shock because I was very direct, as I always am.
Yeah.
Very direct and somewhat rough. And they welcomed that. And I was like, wow. I was just shell shocked to see that. Anybody else would have taken a step back and said, "This
Right.
guy's crazy." Like let's
Yeah.
let's
I was
let's,
like,
let's
I'm out of here.
let-
Like,
yeah,
no,
let's,
we're
let's
gonna
finish this off. And it was exactly the opposite. And then I felt bad
Yeah.
for being so rough.
Uh-huh.
And I said, "Look, these guys maybe need help, right?" So and that's kind of like some of the gaps we're bridging right now.
Right, right.
And they're learning very fast. It's primarily psychology when it comes to communication,
Yeah.
sales psychology. That primarily, I would say, Vietnamese teams are primarily features first, benefit second. Obviously, as Westerners, in particular Americans, we are looking for the benefit. So I've now embraced the opportunity as a coach as
Yeah.
a sales coach, as a marketing coach with these teams,
Right.
and they're just welcoming that with open arms. And our
Yeah.
our relationship has dramatically changed.
Yeah.
And in fact, I just met them recently for the first time in person.
Mm-hmm.
So we had weekly video calls forever, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
So I realized that the my PM, my project manager is actually my height, and he didn't accept. Didn't.
That's tall, by the way. If you don't know how tall Dom is,
he looked at me and said, "Oh wow, you're much taller than I thought." I'm like, "You're about 3 times as tall as I was expected." Because when you're sitting in your chair behind your computer, you look a lot smaller.
Right,
But it was
right.
very funny.
That's awesome that you guys got to meet. But that's such a good word, though. I think eager is a really spot on word that I would use for Vietnamese young people in general right now. Like not just even the workforce, but like just in terms of like English learning, right? Vietnam catching up to the rest of the world because it's relatively recent, just like a few decades, right? And now young people here, because I work with some of them, they're doing like multiple jobs, they do content creation, they're learning English, like they're doing everything they can to like, they're like a microcosm of the country.
Yeah.
Like they want all those skills. But I've heard this again and again that there are these barriers. There's things that, they're afraid to ask about. I don't know if it's a Vietnamese cultural thing. There's also sometimes like just saying yes to everything. They don't really know what they're doing, but they're afraid to say that and admit that. So they're just going to be like, I will do it, but I actually don't know how to do this.
Or they think I shouldn't be doing it. Right?
Yeah. So there's all this stuff happening that, you could have just been direct about in the beginning. And I've heard that across the board with a lot of businesses here that work with Vietnamese teams. So yeah, you hit like on like 2 things that I've heard a lot about. What's the big project that you have going on right now?
This project has been working on for quite some time now. Wearing it right here.
Yeah.
It's called Masters of Trivia. It is slowly becoming the largest community of trivia and quiz enthusiasts, both on what used to be known as the web, mobile web, and very quickly blockchain as well. We can cover what that means. But the premise of the project was my lifelong enthusiasm about quizzing.
Okay. Yeah.
I used to compete as a quiz competitor.
Like trivia quizzes and stuff.
Correct.
Trivia competitions.
Think Jeopardy.
Yeah.
And all the offshoots of Jeopardy. And Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune is somewhat of a quiz contest. Price is Right. Yes, you guess prizes. It's somewhat of a quiz contest.
Right.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is definitely right on the money in terms of the type of content. You have daily around the world 2.5 billion people who reactively watch a quiz television show.
Wow.
1/3 of the world population is
that's
watching it daily.
Right.
So it is absolutely a massive community. The downside of watching it on TV is you cannot participate by definition. Only a tiny fraction, a sliver of 1% ever make it as a contestant to the show.
Yeah.
Many more want to be contestants. And basically what we're building is the ability for everybody to participate.
Yeah.
No matter where they're located, no matter which language they speak, no matter which topic they're proficient in.
Just 2 things. Number one, I love learning. I mean, my background is education, so I have taught history for 8 years. I taught geography. I taught anthropology, right? So this kind of stuff is like both entertaining and fulfilling for me. I love anything that challenges my knowledge. The other thing is like from an education standpoint, I tell students all the time, if you're cramming for a test, if you're studying for a test, things like that, if you're just reading something, like that's very superficial understanding. But if you quiz yourself, you're accessing your memory. You are now challenging yourself to really check your understanding, right? So from a language background, teachers are taught to check understanding for students. You don't just like lecture and then class is over. Like you need to check understanding. So I'm saying this because what you're doing is like both entertaining and it's also practical, and I'm guessing that's probably why so many people are doing it, because they want to be challenged, but it's also like it's just fun.
It's a good it's a good point. So one of the premises of what we had initially conceived is what we call the discovery path. So if we're watching together right now a Netflix show about any topic, let's say we're watching a Netflix show about the JFK assassination, we may wonder, ask ourselves while we're watching that show, the documentary, when was JFK born, when was he shot, et cetera, et cetera. And since we're all multitaskers these days, we will basically Google it. We'll either get a instant gratification by getting the answer right then and there, date of birth, for example. Or we may say, I'd like to learn more, and then we kind of like scrolling down, hit Wikipedia. If we have the app loaded on our phone, Wikipedia opens up. If not, we have the web version of Wikipedia, and then we get a larger context window about that specific topic. But today, that's where the buck stops. In other words, it's still very reactionary and not very proactive. The user is not really engaged into a deep learning experience. He's not being challenged on that topic. So what we were thinking before we created Masters of Trivia is to create this what if, what would come after Wikipedia. So what if you could systematically challenge your knowledge on any topic in any language under the sun, no matter which topic. Now that requires a massive content production effort in the first place,
Right.
which we're undertaking right now. So last time I checked, there were 76 million Wikipedia entries in the English language
Okay,
alone.
I was thinking thousands, but millions.
76 million
Wow,
in the
okay.
English language alone.
Wow.
Probably 250 to 300 million all languages combined.
Yeah.
And what we're building right now is a quiz for every single Wikipedia topic
Wow.
as a starter.
Yeah.
Then, as you mentioned, rightly mentioned, the idea of gamification is key. We all know, we grew up as kids, right? If it's a game, it's much more engaging.
Yeah, you forget you're learning.
You can either play by yourself, you can play with your friends, you can play one-on-one. We're currently building multiplayer quiz tournaments.
Yeah.
So you can challenge yourself against someone completely on the other side of the
Wow.
world.
Yeah.
You can have groups facing off against each other. And the US, for our US listeners, you can have Republicans facing off against Democrats with the independents as referees if you want to.
Fact checking each other. Like,
So you could go, I mean,
it's too much good for society.
It can go crazy. But at the end of the day, the beauty about quizzing is that you can go extremely granular in terms of content.
What does that mean?
It means that rather than reading, let's say, a history magazine, and you're basically being served up whatever the editor of the magazine wants you to read, a story about the Civil War, for example,
Okay.
you decide what the lowest common denominator of your interest level is, and you can play that quiz. So if the content doesn't exist, let's say you want to challenge yourself on Vietnamese cuisine. Well, we either have already a quiz, or we can quickly create that quiz to make that granular learning module
I
work
see.
for you. And that's the ultimate idea.
Yeah.
Because very few of us have, I would say, synthetic interests. We all have very granular interests.
Right.
And we have multiple granular interests, right? You may be a Boston Celtics fan while at the same time being a fine wine connoisseur, right? So you have all of these, and that's what makes us unique as individuals.
Yeah.
So the idea behind what we're building is to be, number one, cognizant of that fact, and to be able to offer a solution to these interest levels,
Wow.
which are very, very widespread. You know, you have all the cultural differences as well. You can do curriculum-based learning, something we're still working on. You can do senior-specific quizzes to stay mentally sharp.
Yeah.
You can do ADHD-specific quizzes.
Right.
I mean, everybody has ADHD today, right? So we kind of like label ourselves also as the anti-scrolling movement, because what's very similar to our audience with podcasts is that they are capable, which very few people are today, of tuning into content for a long period of time. So studies demonstrate, for example, that the average podcast listener who initiates a stream will listen, and you probably get this from your own content, to the very end, no matter how long it takes. I mean, 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
And you have very, very little drop off. Obviously, your content needs to be of quality.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people will drop out.
Right.
Assuming it's engaging for them and on topic, they will listen sometimes an hour and a half, 2 hours. I do it all the time.
Yep.
And the average attention span of the mobile user today is 3-second scrolls.
Right. Yeah. You
So-
gotta get them in that 3-second window.
Yeah, and that's a problem, right? So what if you could recreate deeper focus, learn at the same time, being entertained at the same time, and potentially win a prize?
Yeah.
Now, the key ingredient for quiz shows, as you know, if you watch Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, it's very simple, the recipe, right? It's almost like a cooking show. It's so simple it is. You have a unit of knowledge, questions and answers, and a prize attached to it, a bounty. the
Yeah.
reward, the
Yeah.
carrot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it works. So if you look at the show like Jeopardy in the US and in most parts of the world, it's called the same. The format has never changed over the last 50, 60 years.
Right.
You have the same old CRT monitors,
Mm-hmm.
black and white,
Yeah.
with the same questions, the same font being used.
Uh-huh.
Alex Trebek unfortunately
Yeah.
passed away.
Same podium, style, setup,
But
everything.
you know, Ken Jennings, who replaced him, is
Yeah.
pretty much the new Alex Trebek.
Right.
And 10 to 15 million people tune in every single night,
Right. Right.
and nothing has changed.
Yeah. It's a winning formula.
Yeah. And if you look at Wikipedia, that's for me the most fascinating part is Wikipedia, because they're structured as a nonprofit organization, is not making headlines. But if they were a for-profit company, they'd probably be worth over $1 trillion today.
Right. Right.
Why? Because 3 billion people go to Wikipedia every single month,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is insane. If you think about it, there is no gamification, there is no entertainment, there's no carrots, there is nothing but pure granular content
Yeah.
about a specific topic.
Right. Yeah. Just straight information.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it works.
Yeah. 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 Wow. So then millions, we're talking about millions of Wikipedia articles that could be gamified. And like the reason why people are like into these quizzes, like it just hits the human parts of the brain that like, you know, want to test knowledge and then also like get a prize at the end.
Yeah.
Right. So like, how does Masters of Trivia do that? What's the system for Masters of Trivia? So at me as a user, let's
Yeah.
say like, okay, cool. I heard about Masters of Trivia. Where do I find you guys? And what does that journey look like?
It's a very good question. And actually, I don't think I've ever been asked that question. And the reason why it's important is because it goes right at the heart of our business model. So we call it the bottom-up versus the top-down approach. So very few people will, let's say, just go straight to Masters of Trivia from the top down, go to the home page, go down if they're on desktop or even in the app. And they much rather go from the bottom up, meaning that they would find a very specific quiz about a very specific topic and then engage with that.
Right.
And that's absolutely key. So the journey would look something like this. A perfect example would be someone reading a topic on social media, like Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, not so much because you cannot direct link, but on Facebook and LinkedIn you can. And whatever that topic is, we can create a quiz about that topic. So it's a political topic, if it's climate change, if it is migration, whatever it may be. The more controversy, obviously, the more traffic they get. The news knows that. But we only provide factual content, but we know where those areas of interest reside and where people engage about those topics. So I publish, for example, religiously daily on Facebook across multiple accounts. I cross-post on Facebook groups that are specific to the topic. Today, what's the quiz today? It's the Washington Monument, because it was created in 1888. So I participate in Washington, D.C. groups.
Yeah.
I cross-post on there because the content is right on the money, right on topic. I get 100% approval rate in most cases. But it's very easy to get traction this way. So the discovery journey is someone seeing a teaser somewhere or just
Right.
a real publication about a salient topic or the topic of the day, such as the birthday of a famous person, and already following that topic on social media.
Right. Right.
So the funnel is already very, it's wide, but at the same time narrow, very specific on top, if you look at it from a funnel perspective.
Yeah.
And what you're putting in on top is already very refined, because going back to the analogy, the JFK analogy, you have probably 2,000 Facebook groups about JFK. You would post or cross-post on one of those groups. So you already have a person who's interested in the topic.
I see.
Clicks through, lands on the game,
Yeah.
bottom up, because that game is somewhere on the bottom shelf, not at the homepage. Engagement rates extremely high. And as they're playing, the average quiz is 15 to 20 questions. As they're playing that quiz, they're further refining their interest by not dropping out. They're learning along the way by making mistakes and answering questions right. And eventually get their score at the end. And very soon we'll get a prize if they're participating in a one-on-one or multiplayer type of a tournament.
So and they choose that. They choose like, okay, I'm doing one-on-one journey, but like I could actually do also multiplayer.
That's correct. And then you're done playing one quiz. You have a recommendation engine that basically assesses your journey, your user journey, and will recommend, very much like an Amazon recommendation, will recommend additional quizzes you may be interested in.
Yeah.
And the playthrough rate is sky high. Now, the ability also from a business model perspective to link that journey to something that is related and that has a commercial value is bar none. And we've actually demonstrated that in tests. So if you take a topic, you say somebody plays a quiz about vitamin C.
Yeah.
The likelihood for them, after answering 15 to 20 questions about vitamin C, to click on over to a merchant with a high quality vitamin C product and purchase it,
right,
is 3.7x higher,
right,
than any other scenario.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Because you basically they condition themselves along the way,
right,
by learning about the benefits of vitamin C, of upping their intake, etc.
Yeah.
And then they're much more likely to engage with a merchant at the end of their journey.
Amazing. Let's talk about the prizes.
Yeah.
So what kind of prizes now or in the future as a player are we talking about?
So we built very early on a reward system that allows users to accumulate points for questions that they answer right. Funny enough, if you go onto our leaderboard right now, the number one ranked player is a Vietnamese girl, young Vietnamese girl.
Oh, I'm sorry, what game is this?
Masters Trivia.
Oh, just
overall,
in general? Overall? Oh, wow.
She's got 40,000 points.
Whoa.
Which means she's probably played, I don't know, 800, 1,000 quizzes.
Let's go Vietnam.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. Very, very wide spectrum from all over the world, but heavy Asia. Vietnam, Philippines, a lot of traction. Parts of Africa also a lot of traction. Very curious people.
Wow.
We have some outliers that play 3 or 4 hours in a row, which is very interesting. And the percentage of those people playing for that long is getting higher without having any real prizes attached to it yet.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to, and we're very close right now, across the 100,000 user mark. I think we're at 90,000 right now, roughly speaking.
Congrats.
Fully registered users.
Nice.
And we've gone very, very slowly because we wanted to iron out the kinks.
Yeah.
Debug the system both on mobile and on web. But now we're at the cusp of really like going exponential. I think it's going to take us less time to go from 100,000 to 2 million users than from 0 to 100,000. In fact, in 2005, we had close to 100,000 with a prehistorical version of Masters of Trivia that was desktop only. And now we're also starting to source prizes. And the beauty about the prizes is that we want to keep them very much aligned with the theme of each quiz. So, for example, once we launch, and we will at some point in the near future, with a large Harry Potter influencer that I met a few years ago. She has 3.5 million followers across her socials. And we will launch a Harry Potter tournament, global tournament, with nothing but Harry Potter related bounties and rewards. Trips to specific destinations.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Potentially meet a producer. If you can make a J.K. Rowling meeting happen, that would be very nice as well. I think it would create a lot of engagement. But the idea is to always align the bounties, the rewards, with the theme of the quiz.
Right.
That's key.
Yeah.
Because the carrot is a lot sweeter for someone who wants, rather than just like winning a monetary prize or whatnot, which is great as well, but that's what everybody else does.
Yeah, like Roman history quiz, trip to Rome.
100%.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Because that's part of your journey. All right. So that's the journey you engaged in. You may follow a Roman history Facebook group. You may see one of our quizzes linked and posted on Facebook. You click through, you play the quiz, you answered all the questions right. You basically, we call that the quiz vault. The quiz vault is the receptacle for all the quizzes that we produced, thousands and thousands of quizzes about all the topics. So you train, and then you're invited to, maybe once a month, a Roman history multiplayer tournament.
Right.
The beauty about, I would say, especially in sports topics and politics and certain other areas as well, is you always have these, what I would call self-proclaimed experts. Ask me anything about my favorite sports team.
I got a lot of those in my family.
I know more about the Raiders than anybody else.
Right.
Great. I'll tell you what. We're going to put you in a room with 1,000 self-proclaimed experts.
Yeah.
And let you battle it out.
Nice.
Right? I'm in. I will beat
I
anybody.
challenge you. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's
Put your money where your mouth is.
that's exactly the type of dynamic that we're looking for these
Yeah.
multiplayer tournaments.
Uh-huh.
And then, hey, maybe 20 years from now, 30 years from now, the Raiders will make it to the Super Bowl, right? we'll get you to we'll get you a ticket, all
Get you to a game,
all
yeah.
expenses paid when the Raiders go to the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's awesome. Also, we're talking about like potentially a bunch of these tournaments happening at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. So my ultimate dream as a digital marketer, as a media guy, is to create what I call a Super Bowl a day. And what I mean by that is the Super Bowl is known in the US as the #1 media event in the calendar year.
Right, right.
First Sunday of February, 125 million people tuning in to watch the game.
Yeah.
I think 2 pizzas per head being consumed during that game. And I believe that with the quiz concept, with Masters of Trivia, we can create an audience that is the size of a Super Bowl
Yeah.
every single day.
Wow.
The reason why I'm convinced that we can do that is because of the 2.5 billion number.
Yeah.
2.5 billion people watch a quiz show on television
Yeah.
globally every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So you need a tiny, tiny fraction of that audience. And it's interesting as well because you also have this pride, this quizzer pride. My dad is 86 years old. He watches Question pour un champion, questions for a champion in France religiously. Everything drops everything. He watches that show. And then he gets very, very distraught when he knows the answer to a question and the contestant doesn't know it.
Yeah.
And like that guy is just stupid at that point in time, right? And he wishes he were on stage and actually could give the right answer. Exactly the dynamic we were looking for. So now we're giving you an opportunity for first time has never happened in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
That Mr. Nobody can go on the big stage and participate as a contestant, no strings attached. We all know what happens when it comes to crowdsourcing, for example, right?
Yeah.
So when Colgate Palmolive tried to figure out how to squeeze out the last teeny bit of toothpaste out of the toothpaste, I think it was a Hungarian history teacher who figured it out in his garage. And they had 50,000 scientists who could not figure it out for 30 or 40 years.
Wow.
That's where the big tubes, the vertical tubes, came about.
Yeah.
Because everybody was trying to squeeze out the last bit of toothpaste. And it was a challenge for all of their scientists that they could not resolve for 30, 40 years.
Right.
We expect the same thing here.
Yeah.
I think probably what something similar to The Voice, where instead of having these groomed singers that are just expected to perform well, what they've demonstrated is you have these artists. I think Justin Bieber was one of them with YouTube, right, originally, that nobody had ever heard of, and all of a sudden it just blow up. Why wouldn't it be the same here?
Right. Learning a little bit about what you do too, I stumbled upon like you guys also do tokens as well. So I don't know much about that, I'll be honest. What is that exactly?
So we do what we call utility tokens only.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for the audience to distinguish. Obviously, you may have heard of tokens, but most people would immediately think meme coin. We're labeling ourselves as the anti-meme coin. You have 3 types of tokens. You have what are called security tokens, which, as their name implies, are securities very much like stocks and bonds that are highly regulated. That's on one side. On the other extreme, you have meme coins, which is the Wild West. That anybody,
Right. Yeah.
I think the number,
crazy sounding ones right now.
The number is 15,000 new meme coins being created every single day right now.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Obviously, eventually all of them fail. Why? Because there's no real value behind them.
Right.
So it's all about hype, all about speculation.
Yeah.
And then in the middle, you have these sweet spots that we call utility tokens. Utility token, as again the name implies utility, true utility.
Yeah.
You can use it for something, and when you're creating a utility token, you have to demonstrate that utility.
Yeah.
And you have to demonstrate that you're not a meme coin and that you're not a security token. In the US, it's called the Howey test. You're not allowed as a meme coin to issue any dividends, any interest, any financial participation. It's not an investment product. The closest comparison you'll find in the real world would be loyalty points, such as airline miles.
I see. Okay.
The big advantage, though, of utility tokens versus airline miles or loyalty points is you can convert them into real currency.
Money.
Into real currency.
I see. Okay.
So, for example, our MOT token is trading, officially live, has been for about 6 months. It's a Solana blockchain-based token. It trades on a variety of exchanges, primarily decentralized exchanges. If you own the MOT token, you can instantly convert it into Solana, and you can convert Solana into USDT, USDC, basically the digital US dollar.
Right.
And that makes it very, very interesting for a number of reasons. Number one, you can use it as an incentive for people to participate. You can, quote unquote, this term is airdrop tokens, when people perform specific tasks that you expect them to take.
Yeah.
So for example, if a player on MOT is referring 10, 25, 50, 100 players, you can airdrop him a token for doing that. And now he has real value.
Right.
He can either hold on to the token, he can sell it, he can trade it, he can swap it. The token is very fungible. Unlike an NFT, which is non-fungible,
Right.
non-fungible tokens.
Yeah.
A utility token is fungible. It is real currency. And when you're thinking of creating a community, which we have done already and which we want to grow, it would make sense that this community uses its own currency.
I see.
Meaning that it would be a currency that allows them to freely transact. They could use that token, convert it into merchandise if they wanted to. We're currently building out a merchandise store. They can use it to participate in premium type of events, like tournaments where you have a very large prize attached to it, such as a car. So they could buy in, for example, in small increments of $1, $2, $3 to qualify for the bigger prize, which we ultimately intend to do. And it creates deeper levels of engagement, higher perceived value, because every time you have a quote unquote financial incentive attached, people pay closer attention because there's money on the line.
Right. So this sounds interesting for me as a content creator, influencer. Is this something that influencers should know about?
I think it's critical for influencers. I think you and I had a discussion not too long ago about that topic. Because every influencer is concerned about monetization.
Yeah. Big time. Yes.
If you believe that the same numbers that I read...
do need to eat.
If you believe the same numbers that I read, 99% of the influencers make no money or close to no money. A fraction of 1% earn a living doing what they do.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
I believe that there is at least a partial solution to that problem, and that utility tokens are probably the closest answer to their problem.
Interesting.
Two ways to participate, I would say. How so? Is number one, if you have a large enough audience, you could create your own token, utility token, for your community and monetize. For example, you could have VIP sessions with your community, one-on-one training sessions, and instead of going through a bunch of friction, paying you via PayPal or whatever, you could just have them buy your token, right? That token then creates value in terms of market capitalization, which is defined by the price of token number multiplied by the number of tokens outstanding. That gives you the total value of your little token universe. You could also work with an existing token, such as MOT, whereby you don't have the knowledge on the blockchain, even though we could help on that front as well. You could decide to basically crawl, walk, run, as we call it, and get your feet wet by working with someone who has already established, created a token where it's much easier to work with.
Has
that
value and
exactly
built up.
And then the beauty about a token is that you can clearly define your KPIs, your key performance indicators, a vesting schedule that basically protects both the creator and the stakeholder. It's a two-way street, right? Where, for example, if you work with an existing token, they would basically come to an agreement with you and say, hey, Chris, if you help me brand my product, get the word out based upon these and these metrics. Along the way, we will release you X amount of tokens.
Yeah.
Under the assumption that those metrics are being hit. Beauty about the blockchain is fully transparent.
Right.
Everybody's responsible.
Yeah. The little I know about it, it sounds like that's a big plus.
Yeah.
It's
So
like
you create.
It's all recorded. It's all there.
It's all recorded in a smart contract, right? That smart contract defines the relationships between all of the stakeholders, defines what the release triggers are based upon either time vesting over time. If you're happy and you want to keep it simple, you can say, hey, as long as we're working together, I'm willing to pay you X amount of tokens per month. Very simple structure. Or you could be more specific and say, I want to have both a time schedule, but I also want to have very specific trigger points, such as if you help me reach 10,000 followers on my social media account, you get a little bounty here. If we're hitting 50,000, you get a larger bounty, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But it's all about what you define with the creator if you are the issuer of the token, or vice versa if you're a creator who decides to issue his or her own token. You basically define your own tokenomics.
Yeah.
Your tokenomics basically represent the universe of tokens that you have to work with, your 100% when you issue them, and how you break those out with your respective stakeholders. How much do you want to retain yourself? How much do you want the community to have? Other key active stakeholders such as investors and contributors, you figure out how to reward them along the same way. And everybody's basically fighting for the same objective, which is key. Keeps everybody honest because the blockchain doesn't forget anything.
Right.
But it also creates core focus towards one common goal that you define at the very onset. So when you're creating a token, your entire blueprint, your roadmap for your project is defined in a white paper, is the technical term, but your white paper is basically a glorified term for good old-fashioned business plan.
I see.
What are you setting out to do? What do the relationships between the different stakeholders look like? How much money you need to raise in order to achieve those objectives? By when do you intend to achieve them? And what is the end goal? Like what is your community? Because it's all backed by community.
Yeah.
If you don't have a community, or if you don't intend to build a community, forget about creating a utility token.
Right.
You're wasting your time. So you either have one already that's growing, in which case it makes sense, or you know how to create it. Then it makes sense. Because you need that community to believe in you and your project.
Right.
And you need to convince them that it makes sense purchasing and holding on to your token.
Yeah.
For future appreciation, for all sorts of different, to qualify for specific rewards.
Right.
VIP access privileges, and anything of the sort.
So just me hearing this right now and learning about it, it sounds like as a creator or influencer with a community that's getting involved in this and trying to do tokens, they need to be on top of it. Like they need to basically sort of know what they're doing and like build that structure so that their community can get involved in this and keep getting interested and rewarded by this as well. Yeah.
So if you know nothing about blockchain, nothing about tokenomics, I think the perfect analogy is, if you're American listening, is learning Vietnamese. Initially.
Yeah.
I think it is extremely overwhelming initially, but you start picking up some terminology a little bit left and right, and you're basically starting with a puzzle of 20,000 pieces at first, and then you recognize one piece, two pieces. Now you got this little corner fixed over here.
Yeah.
You still have a gaping hole over here that you don't really understand what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's a learning experience, right? Eventually, I mean, for me, I'm kind of like an OG kind of digital marketer, right? It was extremely overwhelming for me listening to 19-year-olds talking about using terminology I'd never heard before.
Yeah.
Right?
Very humbling.
Chinese,
Right,
Vietnamese, whatever you want to call it. Right. And then, well, okay, and I'm getting this and I'm getting this. And now the interesting thing is, because I'm a traditional finance guy, is that the two worlds are merging. The two worlds are becoming one.
Yeah.
So if you're, for example, a stock investor today, within the next 3 to 5 years, all stocks will be tokenized. That's a guarantee. Why? Because it's cheaper, more transparent, a lot more accountability, a lot more efficient. than anything else. So why would you not do it?
Yeah.
So in the future, in the near future, when you're buying a stock, you will be buying a token.
Yeah.
Robinhood, for example, is in the process of tokenizing access to private equity, private companies that currently are not trading, such as OpenAI. Tesla, I think, is done already. But yeah, you will see basically the two worlds: traditional finance and crypto are becoming one.
Right.
And soon we will not be using this terminology anymore. If I go back 30 years when I first got online, when I'm now talking 1993, the internet was called the information superhighway.
Right.
I don't think I've heard that term recently anymore.
Yeah. I remember hearing that. Wow, interesting. So you went from not knowing any of this, listening to these young 18, 19-year-olds talking about it, and you are convinced that this is the next move right now.
Yeah, I was thinking initially listening to it, this is all a fad. I was thinking like the old guys were thinking when I was starting in the digital space and telling me this is all a fad. So if I go back to 1993, 1994, I had a client in Los Angeles who owned a very large bank of 1-800 numbers, vanity numbers, 1-800 dentist and anything like that.
Yeah.
And I was sitting broke as a 23-year-old behind my desk showing him domain names. What's this domain name thing? Nobody had ever heard of it. I said, look, you can own USA.com, you can own dollar.com, you can own travel.com, etc. It's very similar to your 1-800 numbers because more and more people are going online.
Yeah.
These are going to be very valuable going forward. And he looked at me and said, Dom, this internet thing, it's just a complete fad. Fast forward 6 years later, 1999, Sky Dayton, the founder of Earthlink, purchased business.com for $9 million.
Wow. Yeah.
That's when he called me back.
Right.
Because we had typed in 6 years prior, business.com,
Yeah.
and it was available for registration for $35.
Wow.
So had he purchased, had he invested $35 in 1993, he could have sold it 6 years later for $9 million.
Wow.
So that was a big aha moment.
Yeah.
Moral of the story, the internet was not a fad. Why does this relate to your previous question? Crypto is not a fad. Crypto is making everything transparent. It's making everything cheaper. International, right? It's the first time. One of the biggest frustrations that I've had as a marketer, were, over the last 20 years, were people in Germany, in Dubai, etc., wanting to purchase a stock in the U.S. and they couldn't because it wasn't trading on their exchange.
Right.
Once these securities are tokenized, it becomes a crypto transaction.
Yeah.
Meaning anybody in the world can instantly purchase, if they desire, any stock, no matter where it's traded in the world, public or private.
I see.
So in terms of liquidity, in terms of speed of processing, in terms of free exchange, the impact that this industry will have, as opposed to what we've been living with, this friction that we've been living with over the past 30, 40 years.
The traditional banking system and everything.
Dramatic. I mean, think about why would you pay $25 for an international wire transfer when you can do it via a company like Wise for 50 or 80 cents?
Right.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out where the consumer, business or private, will gravitate to.
Right.
And it's instant and it's recorded.
I see. So circling back to Vietnam, now that you're here and you have these teams, like, can I ask, like, what's next for you?
I think next is moderate team expansion, which is currently underway. Obviously, you see, as a result of generative AI, primarily a lot of entry-level development jobs, entry-level copywriting jobs, graphic design is getting demolished. Newly grads have a hard time finding a job, and it will get a lot worse. So I think you're going to have a very, very tough job market globally. Yet we're expanding, right? So I think that the skill sets that we're working with are very specific and certainly not, I would say, irreplaceable by AI, as it's considering the pace at which it evolves.
Yeah.
But it's still a necessity to work with real people today who can grasp a problem and be solution oriented.
Yeah.
So that's why I say moderate expansion. If I went back 5 years, it would have been aggressive expansion. We just brought on a second development team, also Hanoi based.
Yeah.
That second development team is now integrating with the first. They are blockchain specific. And the blockchain space commands much higher prices as well than regular development, roughly 2x regular development. And we're looking to build multiplayer quiz tournaments, as I mentioned,
Yeah.
with the ultimate intent of building a Super Bowl
Yeah.
every single day.
Lots of work to be done. Right.
So, I mean,
That's awesome.
the biggest challenge is scalability.
Yeah.
I don't think people can really relate to that term when it
Yeah.
comes to scaling, right?
But that to me sounds like kind of a nice problem to have, just like because the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Huge
Yeah.
amount of scalability, but how do we get there?
Very few people know how to scale. Very few people are willing to make the sacrifices required to scale. We're in a position right now where I don't think we will have a choice. We have partners waiting for those multiplayer tournaments to be ready that have a tremendous amount of firepower that can drive a lot of users through the channels that we've already built out.
Yeah.
But again, you have to be ready for that. You have to be ready for the onslaught, and you have to be ready for that onslaught. If you look, I mean, the best scaling story ever currently is OpenAI, is GPT, right? How can a company within a matter of 2 or 3 years go from 0, no customer, to 700 million active daily users?
Right.
Obviously, tremendously expensive. Look at the funding rounds, even though they just raised their last round of funding at a $500 billion valuation last week. But you have to be able to pull it off.
Yeah.
And for that, you have to experience. I've never scaled anything to 1 billion. For me, that's a challenge. But it's also 1 billion users is fascinating to me, and it's something I'd like to achieve in my lifetime. Knowing that the market is there. Again, going back to the 2.5 billion people playing trivia every single day. What if half of them, or 1/3 of them, actually decided to participate versus just reactively watch a television show?
Yeah. Yeah.
They can even do it anonymously, so in case they do really bad,
Yeah.
they answer all the questions wrong.
Yeah.
No shame.
Like you said, the hardware, we are the same humans, what makes us tick, things like that. And then right now we have technology and social media that is kind of like harnessing that and like, profiting from it, whatever, right? It's that same human hardware. There's a dark side that they tap into. And, me being a content creator on social media, we do see kind of like that kind of dark side. What I mean by the dark side is like
Mirror.
That too. Yeah. We're talking about privacy and like government control and all that, but also like, just like dopamine systems, like people, doom scrolling, staying up late. I was a history teacher teaching 12th grade, and like a lot of my students weren't getting any sleep because they were on TikTok all the time, right? And then there's that. But me also realizing that as a content creator, there's a positive side as well, the community building, the storytelling, the even like, different channels of news, from social media. Like there's all these positives. And so honestly, I was feeling a little pessimistic, with like technology, but like you kind of, talking to you, like I feel like there's some optimism because with technology and with all of this, like we could go back to hit on those good points and kind of like the good parts of the human brain, which is community, storytelling, connection, emotion.
I think technology has always been a double-edged sword, all the way back to the creation of fire.
Right.
Fire, you can burn yourself or you can heat yourself, right? When humans went from walking to bicycle, the world went nuts about people are going to kill themselves on bicycles. Then we went from that to horses.
Right.
And then when eventually we started devising cars, again, we're going to destroy humanity, by these cars are going to run people over, they're going to kill all the horses, right, et cetera. So we're at a more important inflection point today because the pace, the human mind, number one, cannot discern reality from fiction. We know that because when we dream vividly, and it's a fiction. That's why some people think it's actually reality when we're dreaming,
Yeah.
right? So the human brain, the reason why we fall, for example, victims of scams is because we don't believe they're scams. We believe it's the truth,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And obviously some people struggle more than others.
Yeah.
Addiction to, for example, money games, casinos, etc. Some people have it, some people don't.
Yeah.
Some people are more vulnerable, some are less, right? So the human mind is very, very fragile. So a weapon, right?
Yeah.
A weapon, you can defend yourself, you can kill someone with it, right? It's a double-edged sword. But if we're looking at human evolution in general, the reason why I'm an eternal optimist is that what we don't realize is we live in the most peaceful times that we've ever lived in today, despite the wars going on around the world. If we go back 500 years, there were wars everywhere, but there wasn't social media. There wasn't any there wasn't any journalism that would cover them.
Yeah.
And what it does is it creates today the crisis news network, CNN and the likes,
Yeah.
that constantly make you live in fear
Right.
and lead you to believe this falsehood is that we're living in the worst of all times. And the irony is that most people believe that when it's entirely false.
Yeah.
We've never been safer than today, ever in the history of mankind.
The power of media to hijack people's perception and
For the same reason we just covered.
I'm gonna circle back to just Vietnam now that you're here and you're about to be in Da Nang for a few months. What are you looking forward to about Da Nang?
So I've probably watched 50, 60, 70 documentaries about Da Nang on YouTube.
Really?
And they always knew, because you always, again, have this human perspective.
Yeah.
You have an Asian guy from Hong Kong going to Da Nang. He's experiencing it a certain way.
Right.
You've been there, have not been there yet. I will be this weekend. You have Western Europeans, Americans. They all see a different thing.
It's becoming an interesting place.
Yeah, for a variety of reasons. Now, obviously, I follow it for a different reason. Yes, I want to relax. Yes, I want to go to the beach. Yes, I want to go, great restaurants have great food, stay at a nice hotel or Airbnb, whatever it may be. But the business scene is getting very, very interesting there. So I think you mentioned that yourself when you did the distinction between Hoi An and Da Nang. Where you have to creatives primarily
Creatives in Hoi An, yeah.
And Da Nang being primarily entrepreneurial.
Entrepreneurs, digital nomads,
So I'm a bad creator, right? So I'm so bad at creating that I know the value of creation, and, that's why back in the 90s I started an online art auction. Right. So I have a lot of respect for what I cannot do.
Interesting.
And I want to hire those people for certain things.
Yeah.
And vice versa. I've worked with a lot of artists that say, look, I don't know how to market my stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I thought maybe I can help.
Right.
Right. So it's those dynamics that I'm looking for. Obviously, there's a lot of foreign direct investment coming into Da Nang.
Yeah.
Numbers are exploding. GDP in Da Nang has grown 9.5% year over year.
Really?
Which is pretty dramatic, but it's, tourism, people settling there.
Yeah.
I would say Vietnamese people getting more opportunities as well.
Yeah.
Because the country has opened up significantly. I believe that's a good thing, right? I think that a lot of people from the outside coming to Vietnam, one of the shocking things for me is how helpful people are, how friendly people are.
Yeah.
Shocking, right? Especially coming from France, where they look at you like
who are you?
What did I do? Did I pour something into your cereal this morning? Right? Did I put some vinegar in your cereal this morning? And here it's completely opposite.
Yeah.
I mean, the people go out of their way to help you out. It's just mind-boggling, right?
Yeah.
I think you change as a human by being that, because obviously you automatically adjust to the level of aggressiveness,
wherever you are,
or lack thereof, wherever you are.
Yeah.
You dial it up or you dial it down.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of like what I'm feeling here. It's kind of like, oof, wow, my blood pressure just up.
Right. Points. Wow. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Yeah, exactly that. Tension lifts, just the friendliness and like just connecting with people. Yeah, I'm so excited for you, for your projects. And I'm also excited for, the Vietnamese folks in Da Nang and the community and like young people that are getting a chance to work with you and be coached by you. yeah, I'm so looking forward to what's next for you guys.
I appreciate it. And, as we discussed earlier, if anybody has any projects, we're always willing to listen, willing to help.
Yeah.
If you struggle with certain things, feel free to reach out at any time. Love coaching, especially with people willing to listen.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for
Welcome.
being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Dom.
Thank you.